Hi, welcome to my video, The Demonization of Single Mothers, and what's neoliberalism got to do with it? My name is Susanna Quintana. I'm a writer, a women's advocate, a feminist, duh, 'cause I'm a woman, a student, again, and I'm a single mother. What'd she just say? She said she's a single mother. Whoa. So depending on who you are, you may have had a whole bunch of different reactions to me being a single mom. Maybe you're happily married, then you might be like, dang, I feel bad for you. Or, man, that must be tough. It is. Or maybe you're just one of those who don't say anything but just shake your head in judgment and toss those stones my way. Got 'em? Or maybe if you're in a horrible relationship like I used to be, you're like, what's that like? Dang, I wish it was you. Now, if you're another single mother, you're just like, go girl, because you're too damn busy to give me anything but a quick high five because your kids are waiting. Go. Now, if you're a single mother of color, you're like, white girl, hold my beer. In which you'd be totally justified in your response, and I'd be happy to hold your beer. Now, if you're a young sprout, just at the beginning of her adult life, you might be thinking, oh yeah, no, not something I'm aspiring to be. And you'd be justified in that response as well. I didn't want to grow up to be me either. Here's the thing. I didn't grow up wishing to be a single mom. I didn't aspire to it. I certainly didn't plan for it. I had a whole bunch of other plans, awesome plans. Though in all fairness, those plans also didn't include my ex taking up with teenage immigrant girls and becoming abusive. But I digress. Listen, as many single moms will tell you, this is not in our life plan. And why the hell would it be? Being a single mom is the hardest thing I've ever done. Y'all know that blame and shame that falls on all mothers on a daily basis? Yeah, there's nobody else to soak up that storm. I don't even have an umbrella. I think my kid stole it. I fix my own dishwasher. I unplug every plugged toilet. I show up at every event, meeting, conference, school, recorder recital. I cancel plans because I don't have a sitter. I take care of my kids when they're sick, when they're gross, when they get me sick and gross. And I'm here for the good, the great, the bad, and the really ugly. Without help, without a break, and without a man to back me up or help me out, and teach me why teenage boys do the weird things that they do. In my defense, I bought a book, and that cleared a few things up. So what's the problem? Why is being a single mom seen in such a negative light? Why are single mothers demonized to the point of shaming and blaming us as if we're all that's wrong with the world? As if the fact that I don't have a man, and apparently any man would do, here for my children, then I have somehow failed them. And I failed as an active member of society because I don't present the whole picture of the perfect family. And my very existence is a reminder of the inferior creatures we women really are. So, does society, the one we live in today, have anything to do with that? Oh yeah. In fact, our culture has everything to do with it. So let's start with a brief introduction to neoliberalism, which is the evil stepmother to the American dream and just a big fancy word for our current culture that gives all people the opportunity to rise or fall on the basis of hard work and merit. Now, at first, you may think, well, that sounds fair. The people who work their asses off are those that deserve to succeed. And for that basic premise, you'd be right. But here's the thing. Not all of us who are working our asses off, like single moms, are succeeding. So why is that? Are we lazy? Are we incompetent? Are we dumb? I mean, that dishwasher was really hard to fix. Or are we pawns in a system that is based on privilege and maleness? A system that rewards those already in a privileged position and leaves out its most vulnerable members of society who need help the most. Not because we're not helping ourselves already, but because when we start the race from 10 steps back, it doesn't matter how fast we run it. We can never catch up. Today, 1 in 4 children are being raised without a father. And where are a lot of those fathers? Did they die? Did they land on the aisle of, oh, I forgot I had kids? Or on the nearby aisle of, it's all her fault that I'm an absent father? Anyway, that's over 17 million kids. So thank God we got all those moms out there who are willing to go back to work, go back to school, get a second job, take the pay cut, give up on their dreams, forego joy and pleasure for extended lengths of time. All in the effort to make sure these millions of kids are loved and cared for. But there are problems, don't you know? Among all the children living with a mother only, 40% of those live in poverty. Now, before we all gang up on single mom over there who's just trying to keep her head above water, let's take a look as to why this might not be her fault. If the main premise of neoliberalism, i.e. the American dream, is that anyone can make it if they just try hard enough, and by make it, I mean financially speaking, since we must contribute to the economy because that's what's really important here in America. And that if you don't make it, it's because there's something wrong with you and you have no one to blame but yourself. Then single moms fail, and we fail big time. Because this ideology assumes that everyone is on a level playing field from the word go. Like we're all playing Monopoly and start with the same amount of cash and the same exact odds for rolling the dice. Something smells fishy here and awfully convenient. Because how easy is it to blame the single mom when she's the only one with boots on the ground, present and accounted for, and actually trying? So let's go back to that unwinnable race that I mentioned. I've been running it and trying to catch up for 5 years now. I'm dog tired, ready to drop. I need a shower. And the finish line keeps moving so that now I can see I'll never reach it. While my ex-husband somehow avoided the race altogether. Did he not get the memo? And is doing better off financially than ever, since he has no mouths to feed. Unless you count his Russian child bride. But she's really tiny and probably doesn't eat that much. Considering that the majority of single mothers in the U.S. are separated or divorced, the consequences of divorce are disastrous for women with children compared to men. While male incomes rise by 1/3 after a split, a woman's income falls by more than 1/5, and she can struggle for years financially. It is a fact that divorce makes men, particularly fathers, significantly richer. Now, according to our current culture, this must mean that fathers work incomparably harder than mothers do. Insert F-bomb here. In addition, we live in a society that criticizes an individual who puts parenting before her career. See? Get it? Her? See what I did there? So it's a double whammy for stay-at-home moms who are now divorced and have to go back to work just so she can pay the bills. And considering that only 1/3 of single mothers receive any child support, and even that support is not that supportive, then single moms are really just one more hole in the bottom of their boat away from capsizing altogether. While society stands back on the shore and whispers, "It's your own fault, sweetie." Well, let me just give you a few quick facts that will prove, honey, it's not our fault. So why don't you just take that pointed finger and aim it in the direction of where it really belongs, which is a society that doesn't value us for the nurturing and care we give to our children because there isn't a dollar amount that we're creating attached to it. Now, let's first remember that a single mom right out of the gate is far behind compared to her baby's daddy, and that many single moms, like myself, have come out of a divorce worse off than when they were married. They come out of it poorer and with less skills going into the workforce and competing not only with people half their age, but also getting paid far less than what men are getting paid. Is this because we didn't work hard enough? Because I can tell you that for 16 years in my marriage, I worked my ass off, not only raising 3 children and helping to build our businesses, but also enabling my children's father to succeed at his work since he didn't have to worry about raising the kids. Don't worry, honey, I got it. But this isn't about me. Single mothers often spend over half of their income on housing and then even more on childcare, which means there's a whole lot of nothing left over to go get that college degree or even the skill set necessary to move up in their jobs. Single moms in the U.S. work more hours and yet have higher poverty rates than single moms in other high-income countries. This is because single moms in the U.S. are paid wages that keep them in poverty. Also, in those low-paying jobs, single moms often have no health insurance and certainly not access to paid leave. Many single mothers depend on government assistance or welfare, not because they're sitting around in their yoga pants and looking for recipes on Pinterest, but because it's their only way of obtaining health insurance for their kids and their paychecks are barely making the rent payment. And just a reminder, single mothers and their children are more often than not victims of post-divorce inequality. And another important reminder, when it comes to women of color who are single moms, the statistics are far worse. So let's talk about these millions of kids single moms are raising. There's a lack of affordable childcare options in this country, so single mothers face having to put their children in questionable care because they have to go to work. Dang it, I'm late. Now, I could go on and on about how our society is not a damn Monopoly game and we don't all start to go with the same privilege and money in our pocket. But the fact is there are kids that need to be raised, and single moms are the ones who, for the most part, have been first in line, sometimes the only one in line. Where did everybody go to get the job done? They're the ones working the hardest, ensuring that the little people they love grow up to be successful and happy big people. You'd think as a culture that instead of demonizing single moms, we'd be celebrating them and thanking them for their sacrifice and duty, especially in the face of no one else stepping up to the plate to help. Instead, we live in a culture that refuses victims of otherwise unforeseen circumstances their due compassion and empathy and support. Single mothers are vulnerable because caring for our children and putting our children first above our own pursuits of money, career, and success makes us vulnerable. If we view it strictly from an economic perspective, one could argue that success is defined by those who acquire it financially. But an economy cannot exist without its moral equivalency. So who are we if we don't take care of our children's mothers? Even if that mother is on her own, single, even if she is poor, uneducated, even if she chooses her children's welfare over the choice of having a man in her house, like I did. Single mothers, you can accuse us of a lot of things. You can call us lazy, entitled, welfare queens, incompetent, unfit, unchristian. But one thing you can't accuse a single mom of being: absent. So, for all you single mothers out there, I salute you. You're awesome. And Sean thinks so too.